before, she told me, until she finally got here, and this is what she told me after.
Right away as I parked, U.S. Marshal started coming toward my car saying that I wasn't allowed to be parked there, and he said, well, we're going to have to arrest you because you're being very uncooperative. I said, well, you're going to have to arrest me because I'm going in there, and I'm telling you right now, I don't see none of y'all in there. Y'all are standing with snipers, and y'all are far away. If y'all don't go in there, I'm going in there. He immediately put me in cuffs.
She says after Uvalde police officers told marshals to uncuff Gomez, she ran towards the school.
As soon as they uncuffed me, I jumped that first gate fence, and once I jumped it, I went to my son's class, and I knocked on the door, and I remember the teacher saying, I'm like, hey, they're already bolt cutting the fence to get me. She's like, you think we have time to get out? I said, y'all have time. I'm going to run for my other son.
Once she was assured her son was okay, Gomez ran to get her other child, encountering more officers who tried to stop her.
So I start yelling, and I'm being uncooperative, and I'm like, well, y'all aren't doing what are y'all doing? Y'all need to be in here. Give me your vest. Somebody give me a vest. Something. I started paying attention to how far the shots were being, so that I knew the shooter was all the way still by my first son's class. So when I went to my second son's door, the teacher didn't want to open the door for me. So that's when they started escorting me out. And as I see that they're opening my son's door, I go run for my son, and I get him.
With both of her kids out safe, Gomez still can't shake the thought of those who didn't make it. While you were inside the school, did you see officers
There was not one officer inside the school when I ran to my second son's class. There was not one officer.
And you were hearing gunshots, so you knew that
you could hear the gunshots.
It
was still active. The gunshots were still active. They were not in there. There was no one in there. If anything, when I pulled up, my car was closer to the school than where the snipers and everybody that was laying on the ground were.
When you heard that it took law enforcement 75 minutes before they went in and stopped the shooter, what was your thinking, having been inside the school yourself?
I don't know. I was just thinking that they could have saved many more lives. They could have gone into that classroom, and maybe 2 or 3 would have been gone, but they could have saved the whole class. They could have done something. Gone through the window, sniped them through the window. I mean, something, but nothing was being done. If anything, they were being more aggressive on us parents that were willing to go in there. And like I told one of the officers, I don't need you to protect me. Get away from me. I don't need your protection. If anything, I need you to go in there with me to go protect my kids. And if anything, they were being more aggressive on us. They were more pertained on keeping us back than getting into that school.
You know, her account is another reflection of just the gaps in communication, those holes that we're trying to fill about the information that was coming in from 911, what the officers outside knew, what the officers inside knew. We know that there were officers inside. That's what law enforcement, Texas Department of Public Safety have told us, that there were officers outside of the classroom in a different area, clearly from where she was. But, you know, it's the frustration of the parents trying to get in is something that's understandable, and of course law enforcement can't just let all the parents go in when there's a shooter inside, clearly. But her energy, just her frustration is what's reverberating across this community at this point. And she also told me that, you know, she's on probation for some charges from about a decade ago, and that she received a call from someone in law enforcement telling her that if she keeps talking to media, or if she, you know, keeps sharing her story, that she might face some kind of violation for obstruction of justice. So she was holding back from sharing her story until now because a judge told her that she was brave and that her probation would be shortened. So that gave her the courage to talk to us. Her uncle's the one who called me and said, you have to hear her story, and I'm so glad he did. And I'm so glad we also met her in the field. She told me, for me, it's important that you come here and you see how hard we work in this heat under the sun. And by the way, there was another parent whose story I'll be sharing later, who lost his son and was still there at work under the sun.